Hello everyone, my name is Christopher Donald. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how I make my throwing sponges. I get asked about this quite a bit. So I get my sponges from Detroit Sponge and Chamois, and these might look like regular tile sponges that you can get from, say, like a Home Depot or a Lowe's, but these are actually micro pore sponges. They're much higher quality and they hold a lot more water. So you can't actually buy the individual throwing sponges like I use. I take these larger sponges and I actually subdivide them and cut them into smaller pieces using a bandsaw. Now you can use other types of saws to do this. You could use something like a electric kitchen knife, like a carving knife. Here's one of the ones that I work with. It's the smaller size. You could use a thinner sharp knife, but sometimes it's hard to get through such a thickness with something like an extendable Olfa blade, like one of those snap-off razor blades. Those can work if you've got a steady hand. Um, it's not awfully difficult to cut through, but something serrated tends to work better. I've also just used a bread knife, or if you know somebody who has a bandsaw, those are wonderful. A powered scroll saw would also work really good for this. Bench tools are just a little bit easier for running them through the blade. All right, so Detroit Sponge and Chamois also has different types of sponges. These ones, I think these were like $2 and something, and I usually use that large one. Yeah, here we go. So they've got them in all different sizes. Yeah, I think the one that I was using there is their largest square one. You want the micro pore ones. They also have the natural sponges, the big wool sponges. Best prices I know of anywhere. So yeah, I take one of these bigger sponges. I didn't like how I had already subdivided that one, so I kind of do it again here. I can take the larger one and get 16 individual throwing sponges from it. And the nice thing about cutting them yourself is that you can adjust how thick or thin you want them. What I like about these is that they replicate the old ear sponges that we used to be able to get, which basically you can't get anymore. We changed the temperature of the oceans, and so they grow different now. And those old ear sponges now are too thick and dense, and they don't really work good for our purposes as sponges. They still live well as sponges, but we can't use them very well. So you can make them as thick or thin as you'd like. I love these because I can make them rather thin, and they still hold up, and they still hold a lot of water. And I can use, when I use one of these big sponges as a cleanup sponge, it'll last me 5, 6 years. When I use them as throwing sponges, I lose them or give them away before I use them up. I don't think I've ever actually used one up. The one I'm currently using is at least 4 years old, and it's just now starting to kind of have like a thin spot to it. But it's amazing how much water these can hold and how durable they actually are. They also have like half round ones, all kinds of different shapes. So the reason why I use sponges is that it helps you with being able to add water as you're throwing. And it's a good habit to get into, especially early on. It can be a little bit difficult to kind of take on a new habit later when you're throwing something larger that does require you to use a sponge. The sponges also spread the pressure of your fingertips out so that you can not dig in to the wall too much, and helps you get an easier lift. So anyway, it's basically what I wanted to go over. Obviously, now I'm doing a voiceover for it because the audio file was lost, and I don't know what I was saying that took this much time, so I can end this a little bit quicker. Yeah. The one thing about Detroit Sponge and Chamois is they have kind of like a fixed shipping rate. They're sort of meant for wholesale window washer supplies, and people don't tend to buy one sponge from them. They will sell retail just fine, but I usually order a lot of sponges at once just because I'm paying like $14 shipping and it's $14 shipping for one sponge, or it's $14 shipping for like an entire box of sponges. So I'll generally like ask people in the studio who need sponges and order a whole bunch at one time. Like I said, their cleanup sponges are great. They also have some really hyper flat sponges, again, that are for window washing, that are really nice for like wiping the bottoms of pots after glazing, things where you need something to be perfectly flat. And they're used to working with potters. So if you want a certain size natural sponge, you can ask them, and they'll pick through the sponges. They'll also pick them for density for you. If you say you want some that are a little bit denser, they'll pick them out. We worked with them for years, decades. The last place that I worked at, and they would handpick just the nicest sponges. And if you're ever in the area, they're in Wixom, Michigan. They're happy to like show you the facilities. You can see how they process the natural sponges. They will talk to you about sponges as long as you want to listen. They're incredibly knowledgeable. They're the #1 importer of natural sponges in the country. Everyone who sells natural sponges has bought them basically from Detroit Sponge and Chamois, and they're just reselling them. So that's why their prices are so good. But all right, so that's I can talk forever about sponges. They give me no money for this. I've been telling people about these guys for decades. They're just amazing. Really nice family-owned business. So throw some business their way. Order some sponges that are actually good quality, and they're cheaper, frankly, than the ones that you buy at like Lowe's or Home Depot. And these will last for a really, really long time. And if you're one of my students and you're at Claymakers, if you like one, hit me up next time you see me. I usually will just give them away. Like I said, I got 16 sponges there out of out of one $2.50 sponge. So anyhow, take care. If you liked what you saw, please send a like and subscribe to see future videos.